So good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the session where we are going to help you understand how marketing and advertisement has changed post-pandemic and how can we do a recovery. For myself, I am Adish. I am the founder and CEO of the Team Sorts marketing agency. I run a marketing agency from India, based out from Pune. Along with me, we have Winnie, who is the director and performance media from Growth Ops. We have Noha Belhaj, founder and executive manager of NB Marketing and Consultancy. And also we have Mazen Fekry he is a founder and CEO of iNetwork from Middle East LLC. Since we all know that prior to pandemic, prior to 2019, marketing and advertising was not that of a challenge, since there were a number of agencies and a number of freelancers who used to work for the projects. But since after 2019, we can see the work from home has created a lot of freelancers. So there was a hike of around 500% in freelancing digital marketers, as well as 200% in agencies created after post to pandemic. So based on that, we are going to start a topic on, we will start with a measure on how people think about marketing.
Okay, post or pre-pandemic, people think about us as magicians. I think people come to us because they think we have this magic stick that we're going to hit, and the leads are going to come, and the money is going to come, and everything is going to be fine. And I personally don't believe this is true. I believe marketing is the art of common sense, and it's the first tool of getting yourself and your brand recognized in the market. So I think basically people think, or used to think at least at pre the pandemic, that we're just those people that can do everything, but we're very specialized people that have a science that we run. And I think the human factor in marketing is very important. Back in our office, we understand psychology marketing, and this is what we work on. And I believe this is the most important part of understanding what your client needs, even if they don't know what they need exactly, and work with them towards that goal so that they can achieve their goals at the end of the day.
For me, I come from a client background. I worked for hospitality brands for the longest period of time. I have more than 13 years experience in hospitality sector. I worked with brands like Hyatt, Four Seasons, Kempinski, and it was always a challenge for me to even get to the team that I work with to convince them that marketing, like to Mazen's point, we're not magicians. We're not going to provide you with what you need without you explaining what you want, or like bridge the gap in the conversation. And agencies or freelancers will not just do the magic and give you the figures. It's a joint relationship. We need to work together. And there were always the points that I lost a lot of job opportunities because, marketing people, they cannot be in this country. They don't speak this language. They don't do this. They don't do that. But it goes beyond that. There is the skill set that you have to do the job, and then there is the execution element. And it's always like, it's a missing gap. So when I started this business, I wanted to speak a language in between the agency and the client. What I do is basically, I bridge the gap between my clients, who I used to be one of them, and the agencies that I used to work with. I was lucky to work with amazing agencies, like freelancers, but they were always misunderstood by some of my colleagues because they are not delivering what they think they should deliver quickly. Or the money is not coming tomorrow because it takes time to build the footfall. It takes time to get the revenue in. So I figured that if you have that language figured out, how to bridge the gap between this side and that side, it will help people understand more that there is more to it. Mazen said it's psychology, it's behavior. Creating irrational loyalty with brands, it's so difficult. Some brands do it better than others, but some, they just go for the easy route and they want to have fast results. And so they don't work on the behavior. They don't understand the personality. They don't understand how you can get your clients, how you can get your consumer or your customer to actually want to work with you. People are not waiting for the brands to deliver something new or to offer something new. You need to grab their attention. You need to have that strategy that will make them actually want to work with you. And this is like a very tricky part with, like, when you look at marketing, it's not just a magic wand.
So the same question goes to Winnie. What is your opinion? How people think about marketing?
I think it's a little bit different for me. It's a very diverse, panel that we have here. I come from a digital agency background. And I have been in the digital agency background for the past, I can't remember how long, but it's too long. So yeah, I think one big change that we observed pre-pandemic and post-pandemic, right? A lot of the points that Mazen and Noha has brought up, it hits really close because, first of all, most of the time, if you approach client, they don't know what they want. They will give you something, but not everything, and you have to figure out everything else. And oftentimes you won't get it right? Another key thing that we observe, of course, pre-pandemic and post-pandemic, the importance of digital. Pre-pandemic, digital is an option, right? A lot of the investment, a lot of the budgets are not on digital. You need to work twice as hard to convince clients to put their money on digital. But now, of course, with the shift, in the digital landscape, it's very different, right? Everybody wants to be on digital. And understanding what digital is, understanding what digital marketing is, even to begin with. In the past 2 years, we've dealt with clients who have zero knowledge about digital, to now people who understand the impact of digital on their business, right? Leveraging on this, it will directly impact their business. And like Noha says, right, we work a lot with clients. Not just taking a brief from them, and it's more of understanding what is your long-term goal, what is your short-term goal, right? On basing it on digital. So yeah,
For me, I would say that every client has its own requirement, and every marketing strategy is different based on the business they do and based on the business purpose they have. So, as coming to the point, since there is a 2% boom in the agency, then post the pandemic, the current scenario is that there is plunge in the ROI since there is a major competition going on. What would be your opinion, Mazen? What would be your forecast?
Okay, if we go a little bit backwards, at least back in my country, I come from Egypt, and the Middle East, like 20 years back, everybody was shifting to sales. It was the easy money out. Just do the sales, get the commission, and just go home, be happy. Then 10 years after, people started understanding that sales needs targets, and the targets are an extremely difficult thing to do. And then the problem happened where everybody just took marketing diplomas and they shifted to marketing. And this created a lot of supply of, let me say, I can't say they're not professional, but they're not as professional as people of the industry. And that was a problem pre-pandemic because there was a lot of competition. Their prices were much, much lower, and they weren't doing the job right. And the customers didn't understand what they need, and they thought this was the easy way out. But post-pandemic, when things were actually real and the problems were real and they needed real solutions, this is, I believe, where the proper agencies and people of the industry came in handy, because we know the tools, we know how to use them, and only then the customer became more experienced because they've tried and they lost, and they've tried and they lost, and now they have background experience and bad behaviors that they've seen happen, and they started looking for the right people. And I believe this created a good buzz and a good marketing and a good market demand for the agencies. An agency like mine, we're a fully fledged agency. Post-pandemic, our strongest arm became the digital arm because everybody's looking for it. And that created need and that created opportunity. On the other side, we lost some business in the physical part where you do actually one-to-one interactions or events and so on because of the pandemic and everything that was happening. And now it's coming back. But again, there's new opportunities because now there's more tools that we actually can use in the market and use in marketing, like the virtual reality tours and the metaverse and so on. And this, I believe, for the future, there's a lot of opportunity.
Okay.
For me, on this specific point, I come from a different background. So being here in this part of the world, as a client, I was always struggling with budgeting. Agencies are so expensive. I would love to work with an agency. I want to have the right agency, but it was either overpriced that I cannot sustain that. Okay, I'm gonna hire the agency, but I don't have budget to spend. So it was really challenging for me to figure out how I can do that. So when I wanted to develop that kind of idea that I had for my business, I wanted to work with teams from all around the world because again, I don't believe that marketing is related to one location. So what I try to do with my clients is I try to figure out the right resources. It's not just having the biggest name as an agency or just you go for a freelancer that's so affordable, but maybe not experienced enough to keep up with your brand.
Correct.
So it's all about finding the right balance. It's all about asking the right questions, briefing the agency. What I try to do is I go for the life coaching behavioral approach. I ask my clients questions to understand what they have in mind. So what does success mean to you? How do you want to see your brand grow? And then I ask them all these questions. I open their mind to all sorts of possibilities, and I'm keen on getting marketing to be virtual, not just digital. You can be based in this country and you can have a team from that and you just mix and match so you can get the best results. So for one of my clients, it will be the client is based in Saudi, the agency that does the digital is based in India, but the agency that does the creative is in Egypt, but the PR agency is in Saudi, but they have an office in Dubai, and I'm kind of the project manager that's basically connecting all platforms together, because I don't believe that it needs to be in the office, in this place. If anything that we've learned from the pandemic, you can be working from home and you can still succeed. It's all about how are you gonna manage this. Obviously, if I'm gonna work with a PR agency and I wanna have the connections with the media, of course it has to be from the country where the client is. But it doesn't mean that if you wanna work with a digital agency, it has to be the agency right next door. It also doesn't mean that I wanna go for something really, really affordable and then I compromise the quality. It has to be a nice mix. There is business for everyone, but you just need to really understand what do you want to achieve from the contract. You need to understand what are the goals, what do you want to have, where do you want the client to be, and also it has to be a nice mix. It has to be sustainable so you can keep on doing what you're doing. Oftentimes, people start with a budget, they think that within a couple of days, I'm going to get the best results. People will be rushing to my venue or they will come to my restaurant. It's sustainability. And when it comes to, you need to have a strategy, you need to make sure you apply, you need to make sure that you will wait to achieve results and don't just flip the table because, no, it's not working, the agency is not good. Guess what? The agency is as good as you manage the agency. So if you're not managing the agency correctly, how do you expect them to deliver? So that was one of the key things that I hope that now, post-pandemic, people will see that you can just deal with things differently to achieve the best results.
Correct. So there are two major things that happens into the industry. One is the bad marketing reputation from unauthorized marketing agencies. The second thing comes is the budget, where the client is always hesitant to put on the budget to get a good result. The same question goes to you as well, Ms. Winnie. What is your forecast if you have seen the current scenario in the boom of 200% marketing agencies?
I think with all of the, we call boutique agencies, and also a lot of freelancers booming, especially in the past 1.5 years. I specialize in performance media. So we talk about performance, it's not measuring how many people have seen my ads or how many traffics have I sent to your website. It's performance that is impacting business result, business outcome. Now, with all this booming of freelancers or a lot more other agencies, one big problem that we see here is the ad fraud. So a lot of clients don't see the connection between this. The problem is with more and more people in the market, more and more people bidding on within that same environment, it creates a lot more issues. We have received more ad fraud report from clients compared to the past, many years they have worked in this industry. How, there are clients saying that, you're spending my money, but you're not, you're just putting my ads
You're not delivering
everywhere.
the results.
Yeah, right. So we get that. We also get, for example, you have spent a certain amount of money, but out of that, probably only 10% of those are valid. Right? I'm sure a lot of people are familiar with for example, Facebook lead gen. Most of the experience is that Facebook lead gen doesn't deliver you quality leads. It will only give you quantity, right? So we have a lot of issue with that. There's a lot of ad frauds happening. There's a lot of bots, going around. Now, forecasting post-pandemic, right? I think one very key thing is about clients, brands, owning their data, right? Post-pandemic means looking into the future, right? A lot of us are already preparing for a cookieless world. We rely on Chrome a lot. We rely on cookies. All of us does. So I think in this sense, especially in the advertising world, it became even more important how brands need to start owning their data. And this is not something that a lot of brands are doing. It's either they're not doing it right or they're not doing it enough. They have a lot of data, but they don't know where is the data, how to use it. So if you look at, even just a future marketing or agency of the future, just talking about what Mazen has mentioned, you have VR, you have blockchain, you have so many technologies out there. It's just how do you then tie all of this together? You have your own data that you can harvest. So that's also something that brands really need to look into.
Yeah. Like blockchain will always help you in delivering your ads and content to the right people to get the right click and not a bot clicks. All right. So one more thing I wanted to speak on, as Noha, you said that collaborating is very better to outsource the projects or to insource the project based on the language barriers there could be if you see getting the project demographically. So could you put some more focus on that one?
So for me, and as I mentioned before, I needed to work with different like hotels because I was in the regional office of Hyatt, so I looked after the Middle East and Africa, and we needed to have a lot of collaborations based on language and based on so many things. So it was very challenging to get one agency that would fit all, because you just can't. And again, that takes us back to the point that people think that agency people are magicians. So how to mix and match so you can work and provide more opportunities, and how you can make sure that when you work with different people, just don't think about any boxes. There's no way for you to think outside of the box. Let's just remove all the boxes. There are no boxes. Boxing, like having a box, is labeling something. Just try to figure out what's the best of your interest. I'm a believer that you need to have a connection with your brand, with your agency, with your client. You need to have trust, because once you have that, you will know that they have your best interest. So it's all about interviewing the right people, working with the right agencies, trying to figure out what will work for you, and don't go for what you know or what you believed in for the longest period of time. Just have the interview of the agency as if you're actually interviewing your team member. Not just like, okay, this is the company profile, I'm just gonna go for that, and that's what I'm gonna get, and then you expect a lot without letting them know what you expect from them.
So it means that we have to be flexible to work with everyone.
if anything that we learn from being at home for I don't know how many months, it depends on where you are in the world, flexibility is key. Really think outside of the box. Don't even see the box. Just see people for who they are and what they can provide. And like, once you do that, again, we were listening to the panel discussion about invest in people, not projects. The second you stop thinking about a brand that it's a brand, the second you stop thinking about an agency that it's an agency, and you take it from a human element, you will see results. Because at the end of the day, you're marketing to people, you're working with people, you want people to connect together, and you want people to see the best in people. Because at the end of the day, the best brands that have the best approach in marketing, they work with people and human element. It's all about like the emotional intelligence. It's all about how you're gonna see beyond the logo, how you're gonna see beyond any of the things that we used to believe in when working with agency, which is just deliverables in terms of certain numbers and so on. There is a lot more to it than just the report that you're going to get by the end of the month. There is, how do they care about you? How do they provide collaborations? How do they provide like different things that will get you to go and move forward? How would they advise you about fraud? How would they advise you that this is not the right approach? Like investing in your data, like back in the day, it was like, no, like let us help you get our own data into the picture. I always believe that you need to invest in your own house, your own space, your own brand. And the best thing you could do is get your own data. Work on it. There are so many ways that you could do that. It's not easy, but you can do it. And this will help you grow and will help you connect with the right target audience.
Correct. Thank you, Noha. And going to the last question to Mr. Mazen. How new technology can be used for marketing needs?
Let me tell you, 3-4 years back, if you were traveling abroad, you had to cancel meetings or postpone them. And then the pandemic happened. And we learned how to see our families online and how to visit our friends online. And internet became the thing, and conferencing became the thing. And from there, we started taking the opportunity of what about business? Let's do that in business too. So it started with let's have an online meeting, let's do a Zoom meeting, Google Hangouts. And from there, we started expanding. What about a virtual conference? What about a virtual event? And now we even have virtual tours. Like, that was something, I think it was in the hospitality industry only. Only hotels and resorts used to do that, where you have a virtual tour to see the place
Correct.
before you travel to it. Now even clinics do that. Small grocery shops do that. Because people are not willing to go down to the shop and start buying. They're willing to do it online. Online sales, I think it increased almost 700, 800% post-pandemic. And everybody's moving towards the digital side. So again, even the conferences, the virtual tours, everything is moving towards that side. Metaverse. Very short, we're going to be living in a virtual world.
Right.
And technology is having a very big step right now, and it's affecting marketing in a huge way.
True. And the same question goes to Ms. Winnie. How new technology can be used for marketing needs?
I think just building on what Mazen has shared, one thing that I would really want to focus on is how, especially in the e-commerce space, how that has shaped.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at globally, or even just Southeast Asia, across the sites that generally your people visit, you will see a top 5 being Shopee, Lazada, you have your Carousel, all the e-com site. And those are all 3 figures kind of percentage increase. And why I say e-com is because that's exactly like what Mazen has mentioned, right? Now you just have to sit at home and everything gets delivered to you. If you look at the retail industry, for example, you used to go to the shop to try on your clothes, and you purchase, right? Now, you browse online first, you check for sizes, perhaps in your country the shops are
Try
already
this as
open.
virtually.
Yeah, but you will still go to the shop, but you won't buy at the shop. You're just going there to see if what you have found on the app or on website is available in the shop or not. Now you go to the shop and you browse and you don't see anything, or if you see something and you won't purchase there, you will walk out the shop and you will purchase online. You will purchase in app, right? Because of all sorts of promos that you can get it delivered to you. And that is how people shop now. At least in my country, I'm from Malaysia, by the way, we see a lot of shift in that. You know, when you talk about property, there isn't virtual viewing of your property before this, right? And right now it's all virtual viewing of properties. So that has really shifted in terms of how technology impact marketing generally. It has been impacting marketing all this while. It's more so in the past 2 years, and now that people are, you know, a lot of people are really getting on this ship. It's really about building that gap of how do we use this available, you know, technology to help build business outcome. There is a gap because a lot of people are just, you know, there are a bunch of people, there are people who really knows how to do it, but there are also people who want to do it because they want to do it, because everybody else is doing it. Yeah.
Right.
I think the real challenge is to become physical in the virtual world.
Yeah.
Because now it's from medicine to food to furniture to you name it. I even have personal trainers do their online trainings.
Yeah.
So it's becoming physically present in the virtual world is the key.
I mean, I run a virtual marketing consultancy with
Yes.
old school clients, like hotels, fashion brands, and in the beginning, they did not comprehend what I'm doing. And they're like, no, come for a meeting. I was like, okay, pay the flight ticket, I'm coming. It's like, stay there. Let's just like have a Zoom meeting. And eventually they got used to it, and eventually it's like, yeah, no, it's fine now. Like just come for certain meetings when it's really necessary. Because they realize that money that they will save from flying me in, they could utilize for the budget. And it's okay, and they are okay with it. And now they're just like, okay, I'm between Zanzibar and Dubai, so they come visit me in Zanzibar and mix holiday and a meeting. So like they are changing, it's taken a little bit of time, but it's happening slowly.
Okay. So yeah, definitely people are shifting to a virtual world right now. Since post-pandemic, if you have seen, the training started, people started conducting the training online. The schools, even they came online, the technology advanced, and people also started adopting the new technology. Also, the technology that has been used, not to mean a technology, the tool or something that has been used nowadays could not be used in the future as well, since there will be multiple competitions in developing a tools. So with this, I believe that technology or I would say boom in the agency doesn't matter if you provide the quality. What the client's desire is to get the leads or to generate his business. For his business, if you are giving a right amount of time, you are engaging with the right, you are engaging with the client to his pain point, to his bottom of the point, and giving him the results, what he desires, then and then only that client will come back to you and you can get a business for a long term. So apart from that, I would like to thank you to Noha, Winnie and Mazen for being the panel discussions over here, and thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you to all our panelists. Do we have any questions from the audience at this time? Any questions at all? Yeah, over at the back. Do you want to grab a microphone and run? Stick your hand up again so you can see you.
Hi, firstly, amazing panel. I have a question for Noah because I really loved everything that you mentioned. One thing I wanted to understand, since you're dealing with so many clients and you're dealing with agencies as well, how do you tackle with clients who say, I don't have the budget for this, I would love for you to do this? Like, just an understanding of, okay, I want to work with you and we can grow together. That's the typical, what I get to hear a lot of times. How do you tackle with people? Because initially you also want to make sure that you get business somewhere, if not entirely. So how do you tackle with such people?
I'm going to give you a current example that I have. I have a client that would want to launch her wellness programs online, and her budget is tight. I never compromise quality. So I told her, I have new agencies that are aspiring to grow. So this is how we're going to do it. We're going to divide the task into parts. So you want to have your online store, your online program, your widgets and everything. We're going to divide it into tasks. We'll start with the branding. And then you do she's currently doing what she's doing. She's giving the classes, she's training, she's making money, she's earning money. So we're gonna divide it over a period of time so we don't compromise the quality. So we're starting with the branding. Once this is done and you see the impact, because the thing about clients, once you understand what success means to them, you will understand how to speak their language. So for her, she just wanted to see her branding. She wanted to see an identity. She is an influencer in Kuwait, so she has the followership, but she does not have an identity. So for her, just getting her that nice contract. So for this, I did not compromise the quality. I went for an agency in Egypt. So the best of their field, they do great work there, but they are not charging the same prices of an agency in Kuwait. Not that there is anything wrong with that. I understand it is very expensive to run a business in this part of the world. But at the same time, there is nothing wrong with connecting clients with different parts of the world that could also deliver the same quality of the job. So now they are working on the branding. Now she's doing whatever she was doing already. Once this is done, we're gonna start the project with the website and so on. So it's all about divide and conquer, because I was that client. I had small budget, but I couldn't do everything, so I had to pick my fights. I had to choose what I'm gonna do at this point. So it's not about putting everything all at the same time. You can get budget, but you're not gonna get the budget for everything, so you have to pick what you're gonna go for first in order for you to reach the goal. And I come from a financial background, so I studied to be a banker, and I thought it was a little bit boring. My creative side was let's go for marketing. My mom was not very happy, I tell you. So, and then I moved to hotels, and hotels, they don't necessarily have the biggest budgets, so I was always fighting the system to get the budget. So I had to pick I had to figure out what I'm gonna do. So it's all about figuring out your plan, figuring out what you wanna achieve on the long term, and just start small until you reach your goal. And this is something that I often see with clients. They go to the agency have certain, rules and certain budgets, and I understand where you're coming from. But the agency cannot just sit with the client and be okay, listen, let's just divide it in this. I do this for my client because I understand where the agency is coming from. I understand where my client is coming from. It requires a lot of time and effort, and most of the time I don't feel like I'm doing marketing anymore. I'm like a project manager. But it works, and I see the results, and the excitement that I see on my clients' faces, it's priceless. So that's like a way that I approach the topic.
And one more thing, to add to what Noha just said, being an agency, being flexible is another key. Because right now, especially post-pandemic, we're getting requests we have a website that is developed in India, and we need someone to do the content in Egypt. Before the COVID, we used to reject such projects. Either we do it or we don't. Right now, you have to be flexible enough to collaborate with people, because there are certain tasks out there that you can actually make money off, and you can do business with, and you can grow into bigger success stories while doing just small tasks or finishing up some other people's work.
Any other questions? Yep. Just hand over.
First of all, thank you for the amazing discussion. Very, very, very insightful panel. The question is for Mazen, since we both come from the same country. I would like to pick your mind on how do you deal with clients who you have achieved with great success over a span of a year, let's say. However, throughout that year, they've got numerous pitches from several agencies, and we all know that during pitches, everyone promises the moon. But when it comes to delivering, that's when the real talk starts. So how do you deal with clients who, after you have achieved with great success, decides to end the contract because they just found another option that's going to be way cheaper than yours without actually trying the service?
Okay, the problem is going there. If this happens, there's no solution. Just let them try it out. The thing is, or the key for us to retain our clients is we always educate our clients on what's happening and the changes that happen, because the normal thing that we always hear in Egypt, I used to do an ad for $100 and it used to get me this much leads. Now I'm spending $200, I'm not getting half the leads. You're not doing the job properly. Teach them about the algorithms, teach them about the updates that's happening in the market, tell them how the market is evolving, and keep them part of your network. This is the main topic of, or the main idea of iNetwork, our company, is having a big network of success partners. The more you have, the better the relationship with your client, the more they see you as part of their business, not just someone that is offering a service for a retainer fee, the more they will stick to you, even though they're getting deals and they're getting offers every day. Actually, right now, some of my clients send me the offers that they get, and they ask me how to answer it back, because they don't want to look bad, and they just want to reject it in a proper way. So we give them the technical support, we give them the education, and keep them within the loop as much as possible, because again, the psychology part is really important. At the end of the day, agency or client, we're all humans. You're connecting with a human being at the other end of the road, whether it's a CEO, a CMO, a marketing executive, you name it, but he's a human being and he has feelings. And if he belongs or he feels that you're part of his system, he'll definitely not walk away from you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the audience? Just say.
Thank you for the great discussion. I would like to circle back to the point that you shared about being flexible. So something that as an agency owner I have noticed, especially after COVID, is that we have to keep pivoting as with the latest, platforms, the latest trends or latest strategies that may be in line or that may benefit our clients. So I would like to have an understanding of how maybe the three of you in your own businesses ensure that you're always at the top of the game and able to apply the latest updates in the marketing industry to your own businesses, whether it's for agency or for the client side.
Okay. Part of it is learning about what's new and studying, but this is not how we do business. In my point of view, it's the younger generations. It's your assets. The main asset for any agency is the staff. Those are the people. We have a lot of younger generations working with us, fresh grads, part-timers within the university. They have a lot of knowledge about the new platforms, about what's trendy and what's coming up. And they're the most people that they actually deliver results in those platforms. So if you can get them, give them the proper education and talents and like science itself, using their talents, they can achieve your goals and your client goals. So I believe the main part is the team, or as we call them, the tribe.
Oh, that's very interesting. If I could just have one more follow-up question to that. So I do agree that the team is very important. And another trend that I'm noticing is people are seemingly staying a shorter and shorter period of time in a particular job, especially in an agency. And a lot of them are seeking alternative employment options. They don't want to be in a full-time job. They want to be a TikToker, and then on the side, they're just doing this as a gig. So how maybe the three of you, or how are you adjusting to this new way of employing or working or co-creating with the new generation of employees that we now have?
We're making the office more fun.
Oh,
Just put the PlayStations there, just give them time, flexible hours, they'll stay there, they're not going to go anywhere. Order food, it's a fun place. The more fun the office is, the most, we actually live in our offices. We see our colleagues more than we see our families. So the more fun the office is and the more cozy they are, the more creative they can get. And just let them be. If they want to be a TikToker on the side, fine. They can do that in the office if they want.
I think just adding to Mazen's point as well, I understand your pain of, we see a lot of people, they stay in a company for like a year, they say, oh, that's too much already, I need to shift job. I want to become a TikToker, and then, so I have been struggling to find people because I didn't know that we need to connect at a certain level. The salary is fine, the job scope is fine, he likes the culture, but they can't connect with the company. So it's really more of the culture of the team. Because I can tell you that everybody, if you're in the same industry, everyone will offer you the same thing. In terms of skills, in terms of platforms that you're going to learn, they're going to tell you they'll learn a lot of stuff, of course. You know, the only thing competitive is the salary, but if you can match the salary, then what else? So it's really the culture, and I'm a strong believer in, you know, building that culture, because it's the core of the team, core of, you know, really building a strong team. It's really how you bond with each other, and that is something that people can't find anywhere else, you know, yeah, so that's.
I'm not a TikToker or a youngster, but I'm not a morning person. And I was lucky with my previous bosses that they knew that I am on autopilot up until 10:30. So they allowed me the freedom to not push myself in a domain that I'm not good at. So all of my important meetings where I needed to use my brain cells happen after 10:30. And they were okay with it because they've seen post that hour, I was giving more. While when I had a meeting that was like 9 or 8, I am physically there, but not really mentally. So they allowed me the freedom, they allowed me like the opportunity to be myself, and they understood that it's okay. It was like, and again, I worked in hotels, they are really iffy. So it took them some time. I was criticized sometimes, like some of my bosses were criticized, but eventually they introduced flexible hours and they were like, you know what? Let people be who they really are. Clearly, like if you're the front office manager and you need to be there in the morning shift, that's not gonna apply. But if you're in the back of the house and you can come a little bit later because you can stay longer and you have an event, just allow flexibility. Flexibility goes to everything. It's not just like which contract you're gonna take. It goes to how are you gonna let your teams thrive? How are you gonna let them be themselves so they can excel? I work with virtual teams, right? So they are in all over the place, different timings. So I cannot be like, it's gonna be 9 to 5. 9 to 5, I work with people like in India, but then I also work with people in South Africa, but then people are here. So my go-to is, there is a deadline. You're gonna choose your deadline. You're gonna deliver. If you're gonna commit to that deadline and you don't deliver, this is when we're gonna have a problem. You're gonna work in the day. You wanna work at 9. You wanna work on the weekend. What's the weekend? In Dubai now, Saturday, Sunday. I'm still confused about that. But most of the Arab world, it's Friday, Saturday. So let's just get really out of like these labeling approaches for everything and just be proper, flexible, and have trust and faith in the people that we work with. Because the second you trust them, they will give you, because they will feel safe. There's no scare of like, if I don't do this, then they will let me go. Or like, look, we've already traumatized people enough with the pandemic. Everybody's walking on eggshells. Oh my God, do I have my job? When I was made redundant, I was actually relieved. I was like, okay, I know where I'm going. I'm gonna figure out, I'm gonna have like some time off and figure out what I'm gonna do. All my colleagues that kept their jobs, they were like, maybe I'm next, but maybe they fired everyone already. Maybe not. Let people be. And then when you let them, they will give you the best. And you will find the few ones that will not give you the best, but now you know. And then either guide them, groom them, or, you know, nothing lasts forever. It's like, thank you, it's been lovely, but we have a different approach. But just be fair when you let them go.
Yeah, I think we can sum that up in a phrase. Happy staff are productive staff. It's as simple as that. You cannot be creative if you're sat in four walls.
It's not really a happy wife, happy
life.
life.
If you have a creative brain, you've got to get out. You've got to work in different environments. It's crazy. So, brilliant panel discussion. Thanks, guys. Amazing stuff.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.